All right. I want to welcome everyone to Networking That Actually Works, turning relationships into real opportunities. We have a new for us a presenter, which we'll introduce here shortly, Don Martelli, and we're thrilled to have him with us today. But as we get started, I just want to give you a brief overview of what Boston Business Mentors is so that you are taking full advantage of what we have to offer. So our goal is education, small business education, and mentorship. We educate folks through our workshops and webinars. Those are advertised through our on our website, of course, social media, and definitely on our newsletters. So watch for those. We have great information on the website that you can look at. There's great blogs that we're always updating. There's some resources and templates that you can download. So take a look there. There is no doubt the most important thing we do, at least I believe, is our mentoring. Our mentors are volunteers, and they come to Boston Business Mentors with a variety of skills from a variety of industries. They've learned from failures and successes that they've had. They just have things that they can share with you to help you be successful. Who do we work with? We work with anyone and everyone, right? If you're in the, gosh, should I start a small business? Am I is that right for me? To planning that business, to being in that business, to growing that business, to um, to exiting that business. So, it's a mentor is there to be a sounding board, to point you in the right direction. Definitely integral to the success of a small business. So I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Rob Stutzman. He is one of our volunteers at Boston Business Mentors, and he is going to introduce Don.
Thank you very much, Teresa. And let me add my word of welcome to everybody here today. You are in for a real treat. We have with us Don Martelli. Don is going to be talking not only about networking, but he's going to be talking about a platform called Alignable. And it's a platform that I know that I recommend to all of my clients. But Don is the VP of Integrated Marketing and Communications at Alignable, which means he shapes the future of the largest small business network in North America through innovative strategies by driving initiatives to acquire new members, enhance engagement, and improve customer retention. Plays a key role in driving organic community growth and brand reputation management. He's also a small business owner himself. He is the chief executive officer of PR Bunker. And PR Bunker works with mission driven, impact focused clients that are changing lives, recasting narratives, building communities, improving health, investing in future technology, and changing the world for the better. So, with that, let me turn it over to Don and say thank you for being with us today.
No problem, Rob. Appreciate you being inviting me here, and that's quite the mouthful. So I appreciate the introduction. It's interesting to be here today. I mean, when I think about mentorship, I'm really big on that. Over the course of my career, I've had multiple people just been in my life that have helped me, understand where I'm going, the work I'm doing, how to improve, and I'm big these days on reverse mentorship. I'm connected to a kid who's 22 years old who launched a business that helps brands engage with influencers to do influencer content. And this kid's 22 years old, graduating from college, has already driven about $2 million in revenue for his company. And I'm learning a ton from him about technology, AI, and so on and so forth. So I think it doesn't mean the old folks teach the young folks, but I think it works in multiple ways. So I love the work that you all do, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to give a PR guy an audience and a microphone. And I go real fast, but I'll try to slow down. And two, if you do have questions, feel free to throw those in the chat. But um, yeah, as Rob described, I kind of have a dual role. I've been working and running my own company called the PR Bunker. I'm a former journalist for the Boston Globe, covered business and politics for the paper for a long time. If you couldn't tell, yes, I am from the area. I don't pronounce the letter R. But over the years, as a journalist, I would have the privilege of meeting people and interviewing them, politicians, business owners, and influencers. And over time, you just start to amass literally a Rolodex of business cards. So, welcome to Business Card Anonymous. I'm your host. Everybody has a stack of business cards that sit in your desk drawer. right? And you forget where you meet these people, what their value is to your network. And what I preach and what I practice is about exploring people's second degree networks, right? So I've met Rob through the platform at Alignable and have talked to him about his business and my business, and everybody you connected to knows other people. So we'll kind of explore these themes as we get into the presentation today, but I really appreciate the opportunity. Um, Most networking can seem kind of random. A lot of us have gone to those events, grabbed your name tag, grabbed your cup of coffee, and randomly walked around a room and hoping to meet the right types of people, passing out as many business cards as you possibly can. Then you get back to your office or your home office, you start to message people on LinkedIn, and it tends to be one and done. So random connections just seems to be this thing that we've all done over the years, and LinkedIn and other platforms have been kind of a driver of all that. But these days, regardless of any marketing channel you have for your business, advertisement, social media, the thing that's going to drive success for you as an individual is word of mouth. If people say something great about you, about your services, about you generally, that's going to carry water. So, network for me is about driving word of mouth to get to know people and understand how you can support them and vice versa. And the other thing that, is broken with networking is that follow-ups seem to be kind of broken. It's more of like people pitching you all day. Hey, Don, I sent you that email 5 times already. Do you want to respond? Do you want to buy? Buy, buy, buy? And it's kind of annoying. People forget that we are humans and that relationship really matters. Creating that connective tissue between two people is really important to drive opportunities. And then it's really unclear on the time you invest in networking and what that return is. And so I think about, how much revenue I need to drive for my company. How many potential clients or proposals does that mean going out the door? How many relationships does that embody? How many conversations does that follow into? So I think about my networking as fueling revenue, but I back into the math in that particular way. So I focus on that return. All right. So when I think about my network, it's not just about who I know, but rather who they know at the same time. And what I'm trying to do with every person I meet is build like, know, and trust. Because as I said before, as somebody knows you, likes you, and trusts you, they're more apt to introduce you to somebody else for your business, either as a referral partner or ideal customer perspective. So I think of the thousands of folks I've connected to over the year as a bit of a network or as a web. Everybody's connected to somebody else. It's that 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, if you will. And every relationship that I foster and people that I meet, it's about that journey. Hey, Rob, nice to meet you. Tell me about your business. Who do you looking to meet? Are you looking to meet folks greater Boston, from a national perspective? Where can I help you open up doors and exploring those conversations? And every person I meet, I go through sort of that pace, and we schedule things every 2 or 3 weeks, and we go through these conversations, and it's all about exploring each other's networking and our network. About 95% of the business I've sold in the last 25 years has come from relationships. One small example is I did a lot of the enrollment marketing work for Boston University. The woman that ran that work, I've known for about 12 years, and I chased that business for about 12 years. I followed up politely. We had some lunch, we had some coffee, and over time, build up that like, know, and trust. So for me, it's about when I meet somebody, it's not about do I sell them right away or are they selling me, but I'm thinking about what is the value to them in my network? How can I be supportive? How could they be supportive of me? And it's the beauty of that journey, exploring those questions over time, which creates that sort of large network for your business as you move forward. So, how do real opportunities actually happen? For me, it's about those warm introductions from trusted sources. And I'm big on making introductions from my network more so than getting them back because for me, I'm trying to put equity into that relationship. So when I do have an ask, people deliver. So from time to time, folks like Rob and Teresa, they may get random 2 to 3 introductions from me to folks in my network who I think can help them in some way, shape, or form. Because what I'm trying to do is build that trust, build that relationship. So when I do have an ask of Rob, more than likely he's going to deliver because I've already put some equity into that relationship. Again, that second degree is all about how those relationships really unlock those hidden doors. So, for example, in public relations and in my business, I typically work with mission-driven organizations, and that's nonprofits, folks that work in health and human services. And so clearly I'm looking to meet folks in the nonprofit space. But I also think about who else works with these people. Grant writers, folks that do fundraising strategy, graphic designers, web designers, photographers, anybody that provides a service to nonprofits is a referral partner for me. And so not only am I looking to create relationships with my clients, but also people that serve those clients because, if Rob, for example, was a photographer that exclusively worked with nonprofits, he and I would be talking every 2 or 3 weeks about each other's business. Who have you met? Who can we open up doors for each other and offering opportunities to introduce ourselves and our clients to them and so on and so forth. And I offer things like, 10% referral fees. So anytime somebody sends me business through my network that I close, I send them 10% of my fee, just as a way to say thank you and to build that trust, which means they're more than apt to offer me up versus somebody else because they're getting some passive income. And this last thing about being known for something specific, I've done a lot of work over the years in corporate communications, technology, education, a variety of industries. But I landed on mission-driven and impact-focused work because, one, I love working with good people, and I've loved working with brands and organizations whose work is impacting the lives of other people. And that's kind of the lane that I've carved out. The second thing I'm known for is having a pretty deep and extensive network across a variety of industries that I open up to everybody that I meet. And so I've created these two lanes. So when I get to know somebody initially, I describe my story, I describe who I'm looking to meet. So it's memorable, one. And two, when we speak every 2 or 3 weeks, there's just a rhythm to our conversations, and my narrative tends to stick, which means as you're out there networking and your connections are being asked, hey, Don, do you know somebody who's a web designer? I'm immediately going to think about Jane because I've spoken to her every 3 weeks. And she kind of planted that story in my brain to think about she works with nonprofits doing web design. I'm going to immediately offer her up in terms of bringing that talent to a project. So again, warm introductions, form trusted sources. They beat cold calling any day because nobody loves cold calling. Nobody loves emailing cold because the return on investment is probably negative 2%. That second degree relationships really do unlock those hidden doors because it's about who you know and who they know. And finally, carving out that niche that you want people to know about you and what you stand for, what you do for work in a very kind of elevator pitch way is really important because you're trying to, get your story to, be sticky and for folks to remember what you represent so they can think of you down the line when they're having random conversations with other connections. So the beauty of using a platform such as Alignable, it's not one-to-one networking. You can see the hidden value in your existing network. And the great thing is that with this platform, these introductions are literally a single connection away. And I'm going to show you in a couple seconds here that I think I have 800 connections. And those 800 connections can introduce me to thousands of people that matter to my business. And it's simply a click away, which is incredible. For me, before I joined Alignable as a full-time employee, I was leveraging LinkedIn like everybody else. Sales Navigator was $100 a month. And it kind of got noisy for me over there. A lot of people pitching and randomly connecting and offering things and messages with no attempt to build real relationships to get to know people. And so I was prospecting for executive directors in New Hampshire, sending out cold emails, right? Typical marketer. I got somebody to reply and they said, I'd love to hire you, Don, but I don't have the budget. However, I'd love to send you referrals over at Alignable. I said, geez, I think I have an account over there. Let me check it out. I did, reinvigorated it, kind of got reengaged, connected with somebody who I haven't spoken to probably about 25 years, or about 20 years. And within 3 days, he's lining me up with an opportunity that he could not take, but wanted to pass off to me because it's my expertise. It was a $25,000 project for 3 weeks worth of work. And I said, geez, who else is on this platform that I forgot that's in my second degree network? And the rest has been history. So I'm going to show you kind of how that works as we get into the platform. Right. So in terms of how effective networking looks like today in a world where you've got every AI tool under the sun, there's AI involved in networking, there's dashboards, there's tracking mechanisms, there's CRMs. We are not at a loss to add another subscription to your tech stack for your networking and managing your business. But the one things that are consistent with networking, regardless of the tools, is that you make your asks intentional with clear context. So when somebody says, hey, Don, what do you do? I say, I'm a public relations and strategic communication consultant. I work with mission-driven and impact-focused organizations. My job is to find the stories that really describe their mission and use those stories through traditional media, and that results into marketing content, all driven to impact donors to give money, right? It's storytelling to raise money and fuel the mission financially. That's what I do. And I'm intentional about what I do and how I do it, who I do it for, so that story sticks. And when I'm asking for introductions, what I try to do is I don't assume that the people I know their connections all that well enough to introduce me. So, hey, Rob, I'd love to meet Mary. Here's why I would love to meet her. Here's how I think I could help, or she could help me. And I always ask this question: do you feel comfortable in making the introduction? Because sometimes people just met somebody and it's sort of, they're not there yet in the relationship to offer up an assistance. And I'm a firm believer if I introduce you to somebody else, I've met both of you. I've vetted the relationships. I understand the value you can bring to the table together. So when I make the introduction, the context will exist. So you're getting off to a hot start. It's not, hey, Rob, meet my random friend Mary, who I just met 2 days ago. Good luck. But rather, context, information. So the two of those folks I'm introducing have a better chance to get off that relationship to a hot start. Now, the hardest part with networking, it's like herding cats. How do you stay in touch with people? And there's no shortage of tools to be able to do that, right? So I have one tool that I use. It's called Motion. Motion is a kind of an AI-based calendaring project management tool that has all my different calendars in one place, has a PM system in it, and reminds me, who I did one-on-ones with that week, when to follow up with them, what the context is for that follow-up, and so on and so forth. So I use the technology just to remind me over a week period, who are the 5 to 10 people I need to follow up with? What do I owe those folks? Am I sending them a link? Am I sending them an article? Do I owe them a phone call? Do I owe them a review of their website, for example? And so I always make sure that every relationship I have that's really important for my network, I have a game plan for how many touch points, whether it be once a week, twice a week, depending on whether they're going to be hiring me or it's for a long-term thing. I develop strategies per contact, make sure I use the systems and tools that I have in place to allow to remind me, to suggest things to follow up with, just so I can get those folks from hello to yes over a course of time. All right. So, technology can be helpful or sometimes it could be a hindrance, right? Because there's so many tools out there that we can use. And for me, my short stack of relationship management for my network is one, HubSpot. HubSpot's a tool I use to track all my deals and my contacts and the emails I send to those folks if they've opened them or not. I use Alignable to foster new contacts, build relationships, and then I use Motion to help me with my one-on-one scheduling and so on and so forth. So that triangulation of tools allow me to identify people, meet new folks, track those relationships, and manage that process in a way that's, some may say maniacal, but it works for me. It's usually 5 to 10 conversations a week, 5 to 10 new relationships, and I roll through that process really Monday through Thursday. And I use Friday as a way to kind of clean up my CRM, reset my week for the following week, and so on and so forth. But I use those tools that just help me keep my process together, keep me organized so it doesn't go back to a stack of business cards that sits on your desk that's kind of just collecting dust or helping you level off your table. All right. And so let me dive into Alignable real quick. I'm going to switch over to my browser here if you all could see this. So Alignable has 10 million people on this platform. 20,000 members sign up a week. And most folks sign up for the platform because they are being invited by somebody else. Okay. And what I found fascinating about the platform was it kind of presented itself as a social network. For here, you basically see a feed, people posting content, you can like and comment and so on and so forth. And it's your typical social network kind of experience. And then over time, I realized that the information that's buried into the system, kind of have to dig around. And I realized that this platform is not about an algorithm like LinkedIn is. Like LinkedIn is about posting content with hashtags in certain time frames, targeting very particular types of people, more kind of corporate, 50 to 100 employees, if not more, like big brands and so on and so forth. Alignable is for small business owners. Think Main Street, not Wall Street. But the trick for Alignable is it's actually your profile that is the algorithm. And so it's you telling the system what you do for work, who do you want to meet, what do you do for them? And then frankly, they give you the tools to uncover your network's network, that second degree network that I talked about before. And so kind of a quick profile review. Here's my profile, again, the PR bunker. You have this banner which you can customize and add a QR code to do whatever you want. You can add all your details, telephone number, website address, your photo if you wish. But the key to the platform are these two sections. This describes my customers. I work with mission driven organizations. This is who they are. And the thing that most people try to do on the platform is they put war and peace in this section. They have 3,000 words. Nobody has time to read 3,000 words, 30 seconds or less, keep it short and tight. Then you've got to describe, are you a business that sells to other businesses or if you're a business that sells to individuals, right? So B2B or B2C. In some rare cases, for example, if you are in the real estate finance area where you're helping finance commercial development deals, but also maybe home ownership mortgages, right? So that's B2B and B2C. So selecting which one you are is important. And finally, you could tell the system, where do you want to meet contacts? Here locally where I live, which is just north of Boston, in my county or region, over the state, the country, and internationally is just North America, it's just US and Canada. But these next section, so most people think when you onboard to the platform, you describe the types of people you want to meet. Retirees over 50, folks that love to travel, folks that struggle with paying their taxes, though these tags are industry specific tags or and he wants to meet these people. If I click nonprofit, it's going to give me a list of 10,000 people on the platform that work in the nonprofit space. So ideally, these are folks that I want to meet because they either work in a nonprofit or in around the space which is relevant to my business. But you'll notice if I come back to my profile and I click veteran nonprofit organization, that search string goes down to 5,400, which means the tagging system works in a bit of a kind of a cascade, right? So real estate, really massive category. Nonprofit, massive category. Financial services, massive category. But mortgage broker, specific underneath financial services. Digital marketing versus SEO versus email marketing versus public relations. And so the key here is to have, 5 to 20 tags that represent the industries to which your clients are working in. Okay. Now, this bottom section is very similar, but this is about your referral partners. And I think of it this way: who also works with my clients but doesn't do what I do? Career coaches, advertising agencies, brand marketing consultants, grant writers, graphic designers, other folks that work with nonprofits but don't do public relations, folks that can open up doors for me, which allows me to see into my second degree and get those warm introductions, right? And there's a reason why these kind of tags are so important to the profile. It's because everybody you connect with, the system will show you who they are connected to that aligns with your business. So what you see right now is my network. This is sort of where my business cards live on my Rolodex. I currently have 818 connections on Alignable. I've been on the platform for about a decade, kind of came back and went to it, but in the last 2 years, recommitted to it. Only 818 connections. We're on LinkedIn. I've got about, I don't know, 6,000 people that follow me, another 5,000 connections, 10,000 people that I kind of sort of know, maybe not so much. What this shows you is that my existing connections of 818, they are connected to collectively 10,000 potential ideal customers of mine, meaning my connections are connected to customers that I can be introduced to in seconds. So, for example, here's Dr. Mary Wells. She works for an incredible nonprofit in the Michigan area. She is connected to 596 other nonprofits. If I click this link, I'm now in Mary's network, and it filters all of her connections by the ones that are on my profile in those tags. These are all nonprofit professionals. If I click Get Introduced, I can simply ask Mary to introduce me to Jason by clicking Send or customizing the message. And what happens is you end up in a message thread together so the three of you can have a conversation. It's like Mary's taking me into a room, walking me over to Jason, say, hey, Jason, meet my friend Don. And so if you think about it, in the last 25 minutes, I've been sort of screaming at you here. I could have asked for about 40 introductions from every single one of my connections. And so remember the analogy of grabbing your business cards and your name tag and walking randomly around the room? Well, that's like playing roulette or kind of blackjack for your network. For here, for Alignable, because my connections, my 818 people, are connected to 10,000 potential ideal customers, all I have to do on a single day is work down this list and ask for a single introduction from anyone that I'm connected to and who they are connected to. Same with my referral partners, 19,000 potential referral partners. These two numbers, again, are simply predicated on these tags in my profile. So everybody I meet is not one to one, but one to many. And that's why we call it Alignable, and Alignable 360, which is sort of that the paid feature that I pay for or paid for before I joined the company that gives me the insight into my network. Who are my people connected to that aligns with my business? And there's other ways to manipulate this whole thing. You can explore opportunities. You can look for any industry. So, for example, show me branding specialists, nearby to me in Boston. And it's going to give me a list, and then I can click here. I don't know Andrea, but if I want to get introduced, there are 5 connections between the two of us. If I want to meet Korea, there are 8 connections between the two of us. Vicky, 8 people between the two of us. Meaning, if you're looking to meet very particular types of people, lawyers in Boston, plumbers in Newton, graphic designers in Montreal, with 10 million people on this platform, they're here. And when I discovered how powerful that second degree introduction module was, I immediately canceled my LinkedIn subscription. No lie, put the credit card down, fired up Alignable for a year, which is like $300. And then, ironically enough, 9 months later, the 2 co-founders approached me to join the company to help teach other folks about the platform and its power. We have events every single day, right? These events are pretty powerful. They're an hour long. You can meet 7 to 10 people in a one-on-one breakout room, but you can, instead of grabbing your name tag and your cup of coffee and randomly walking around the room, you can see who's registered for each event, and you can segment by industry. So, for example, 199 people come to this event. There are 3 people going that are working in education. I might want to reach out to these people beforehand, grease the skids a little bit, and then kind of do some back and forth messaging. So when I go to that Smart Connect meeting, I have a higher probability of meeting them. So just giving myself a chance, a higher rate of success, just to meet the right people for my business. They're either ideal customers of mine or potential referral partners. Now, one of the beauties of this platform is that we also offer in-person events, which I think are great. So you come here, click see all, and down here you see in person. And so John Marcioni, John, and Kevin, the 3 ambassadors that run these programs throughout Massachusetts, do a fantastic job at curating and networking events. The great thing with this platform is I can see who's registered for the in-person event, and it shows me the registered list of people, but it also shows me how many potential customers they're connected to. So again, instead of grabbing my coffee and my name tag and working around the room, I'm going to talk to Eileen. I want to talk to John, Natalie, Aaron, Joseph, because all of these people know folks that align with my business, again, predicated on those tags in my profile. Again, this whole thing is just about networking smarter and using the technology such as this to understand your network, how vast it is based on those categories you're looking to meet people with. And then from there, it's about kind of creating your own process so it doesn't become a massive time suck, but rather focused with intent, strategic, and aligned with the types of people you want to meet. And there's other things to do on the platform. There's groups. You can join discussions, have conversations. Again, with 10 million people on this platform and 20,000 that sign up a day, Alignable has the people you want to meet, whether it's hyper locally here in Greater Boston or internationally from North American standpoint. So they're there. And again, I joined the platform as a user 10 years ago, recommitted to it about 2 years ago, paid for it 9 months ago, joined the company, ironically enough, and it's been an instrumental piece of my business. And I've closed 6-figure deals over the course of the last year and a half because of it. All right. So when you think about the platform, what I'm looking for is finding the right introductions very quickly, which I just showed you. 818 people can introduce me to 10,000 folks that work in the nonprofit space. I don't do any Google advertising. I don't do any paid advertising on Meta or Instagram or TikTok, any of those platforms. I'm exclusively focused on meeting the right types of people using a tool just like Alignable, and then supplementing that with HubSpot and Motion and other things to kind of keep my networking focused. And as I meet these people, I'm the one that, ironically enough, ask the questions and let them speak first. I want to understand how I can help them and why. Like, what are you working on, Rob? Who can I introduce you to this week? Whether we talk today, in a month, or 2 months, I'm always trying to figure out where I can add equity and value to that relationship. Because at some point, I will have an ask. And if I am providing value, that value comes back to me pretty, almost two times X. And when I follow up, it's not just, hey, hope all is well, happy holidays, I'd love to talk to you soon. I'm either sending an article or I might have seen something that they posted on social media that I'm commenting on. So I'm just making sure that that I am providing value. And in the chat, Rob has a good question. How often do I touch base with my contacts? Fantastic question. I consider my network kind of in three slices: my A listers, my B listers, and my C's. My A's are folks that are like either my potential clients, existing clients, or really good referral partners that know what I do, often introduce me to their clients. I talk to those A-listers at least once every other week. So, for example, Rob, you're getting into that A-lister. So you and I talk fairly regularly on the platform. And in between those one-on-one conversations, I'm sending you an email or a message with something of value. Hey, Rob, I thought of this, read this article, thought it might be a good topic for your podcast, for example. So somebody who's an A-lister every other week, if not sooner, if there's things that we're working on. The B-listers, that's probably once a month. I have a guy that I talk to once a month, every third Thursday, 3 o'clock, come heck or high water, we speak. And sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes it's a half an hour, but the idea is to just kind of keep those conversations active because it's about staying top of mind. And then there's a bunch of folks that I meet, like I have a bunch of one-off meetings, and I realize that they're great people. I think they potentially could be a referral partner for me. I just don't know what the match is just yet. And so what I do with those folks is maybe try to connect with them once every other month. And in between then, an email, a message, a comment. So, it ranges from every week to every other week to once a month. And then some cases every other month or maybe once a quarter. But again, it depends on the value of that relationship to my business and the value I provide to them. And that sort of ranking system I use in HubSpot and Alignable just to, again, trigger my brain, where this person lives and their importance to my business as I move forward with that relationship. Good question. Appreciate that. So you can actually join the platform for free. And you can go to as many events as you want, right? But you have to get your profile set up the right way. And if anybody wants to join some other training sessions, I'm happy to kind of send them your way. Happy to look at your profile, give you some suggestions. As a free user, you can add your existing contacts. So you might have a way to add your existing relationships from your email into Alignable to quickly add some folks. And then as a free user, the goal there is just to ask for an introduction, maybe once a day, once every other day, just to slowly but surely build your network. But for me, those that are active and are paying for the platform, the value was the see who. Like Rob and I can talk until the cows come home, but the fact that he can see into my network, I can see into his. And when we do our one-on-one conversations, it's not about, hey, how's the weather in Boston? Hoping the Patriots win this Sunday. Rather, I have his profile up in front of me. I can see who he wants to meet based on those tags in his profile. And he's describing where his business is currently and who he's looking for. Then I can make some introductions right away. And so, yes, so Rob had another question. Do I look up my contacts on LinkedIn? I look up my contacts regardless of where they are. So I've built out what I call an LLM, which is a learning language model in Claude. So for me, Claude and Perplexity are the two AI tools that do a really good job at deep research. ChatGPT is good for processes and content and kind of like creative prose, if you will. I use Claude for that kind of thing. So Rob, so when I meet somebody, I tell Claude, hey, I just met Rob. This is what he does for work. This is his website, his email address. This is his company's website address. What else can you find about him? Find me everything. News articles, his LinkedIn profile, his TikTok, his YouTube channel. I try to find as much information as possible. And if I realize somebody is an A-lister for me, what I do is I collect all that information and I put it into their HubSpot record or I link it into their Alignable account. So As I start to build the relationship, I have a baseline. Hey, Rob, great to connect this week. By the way, I subscribe to a YouTube channel. It's good content over there. I love your take on X, Y, and Z. That shows the person I'm now talking to. I've spent some time. I've researched you. I'm interested to learn more. I'm building equity here. I'm not just saying, "Hey, Rob, let me pitch you, for 15 hours here." But I'd rather, again, build a rapport, build a relationship, and build that trust. So again, I use LinkedIn, YouTube search, but I use Claude or Perplexity to help me kind of galvanize and collect all this information that kind of fits into a folder that I put into HubSpot. So it reminds me of who they are, what they're working on, who they're connected to. Good question. On the active user side, most people think, again, it's let me just push content into Alignable and hope that the fish fall into the boat. It's really not about that. It's about exploring that second degree relationship, who your connections know, asking for and giving introductions. And what I tried to do, again, is set up those weekly goals, right? So for me, 5 to 10 new relationships a week that align with my ideal customer profile and or my referral profile. Once I meet those 5 to 10 new people, I'm scheduling one-on-ones, half hour long, exploring what they do, how I can help them, where do they feel comfortable in networking and having conversations. And if I feel like the conversation was great and there's somebody I really want to move to that A list, what I'll do before I end the call is schedule the next call for 3 weeks out or 2 weeks out. And I roll through that process. So my networking, I treat it like a client. I owe it KPIs. It's KPIs I need to hit. 5 to 10 relationships, 5 to 10 one-on-ones, and I roll through that process every single week because if I'm not working on client work, other thing I'm doing outside of maybe going to a Bruins game and Celtics game from time to time is networking, meeting people, having conversations. So I set those goals. Sometimes I hit them, sometimes I don't because I'm either busy or I've exceeded them because I've done a ton of networking. But I set those goals because I don't want my networking to be random because it can be. You go to a bunch of events, collect a bunch of business cards, reach out to a bunch of people, do a bunch of random one-on-ones. You need that process. You need that kind of playbook in place just to guide your networking to build your business. And again, what I try to do my networking is backing out from a revenue goal. My goal every month is to bring in between 20 and 50,000 in monthly recurring revenue. My average retainer is anywhere between a couple $1,000s to tens of thousands of dollars, which means if it's 50 grand, that's maybe 8 to 10 clients. 8 to 10 clients just doesn't come from 8 to 10 conversations. That's probably 20 to 50 conversations or 20 to 50 relationships. And so 5 to 10 relationships, 5 to 10 one-on-ones every single week, every single month, every single quarter, you start to get to a process. You start to meet people strategically aligned with your business, and you start to move people from a low to yes to get to the revenue goals you're looking to meet. All right. So when I think about moving relationships forward, because we can all do a ton of one-on-ones. Hey, tell me about your business. Who do you want to meet? And all of a sudden, that business card goes back into your desk drawer, collects dust, and you forget how you met those people. When I meet somebody right away, within that first 24, 48 hours, I'm asking if they have availability to do a one-on-one, either in person or virtually. And what I try to do is not just say, are you available this week? I try to provide some specificity. Hey, I have a block of time Thursday and Friday between noontime and 5 o'clock. Are you available for a virtual chat, half hour long? And that kind of forces the other person to say, am I available at that time? And if they're not, they're usually going to suggest other times to meet. So it's a bit of a tactic to not make my ask so broad, but make it specific. Two, after we've had that conversation, I'm going to, and before we end it, I'm going to schedule the next one. But in between the first one and the second one, I'm going to make sure I take a couple notes down. And I remember, do they have kids? Are they passionate about sports? Are they into gardening? Where do they go to school? Where did they go to school? What's the one or two, three things that I want to remember about the conversation that I can follow up with just to keep the conversation rolling? So I try to find some connective tissue. So in that second conversation, it's about exploring their work, introductions, and trying to figure out, is this an opportunity where they might need my services? And so the questions I ask in that second conversation are designed around marketing, communications, and public relations, because that's what I do. Hey, Rob, tell me about your business. How's your website performing? Have you thought about doing some local thought leadership in your local newspaper? Well, what does that look like, Don? And so if I'm asking questions, I'm getting feedback based on yes, no, maybe so. I'm thinking about my opportunity lanes. And if Rob starts to say, yeah, I don't think my website's performing well, we don't do a ton with email marketing, I'm not jumping on that thing right away. As a follow up to that second conversation, I'm saying, hey, Rob, during our chat, I really thought about that email marketing challenge you mentioned. I put some thoughts behind that, put it down on paper. Here's some things you might want to consider. I'm sprinkling him with free advice, free ideas, just things for him to think about. Because I know if he had the expertise to do it, he'd already be doing it. He wouldn't have told me in the first place. So first conversation, I'm meeting you, getting to know you. Second conversation, I'm exploring what my opportunities are. That third conversation is about, hey, we've talked, learned about your business. I understand your pain points. I'd love to take a look at this for you. What do you think? And then you kind of get into that from hello to yes process. Stage three, if you can get to the sale, great. But sometimes, again, it could be with a referral partner. At that stage three, it's about kind of those working sessions. Instead of getting on for a half hour and just, shooting a what for a half hour, use those sessions as working sessions. Split the time between 15 minutes. Okay, for the next 15 minutes, I'm going to describe where my business currently is, who I'm looking to meet, what particular regions, and we're literally going to explore each other's alignable network of folks we met on LinkedIn. And in that 15 to half hour session, make introductions through these platforms with context. So every time I introduce somebody to somebody else, it's not, hey, Rob, meet Jim. He's a great guy. Good luck. It's, hey, Rob, you should meet Jim. He's a graphic designer who I think can supplement the work that you do in digital marketing. Here's where I met him. Here's where I think the value is for the two of you. Good luck. So that way, again, when Rob connects with Jim, they have a better starting point for their conversation. So it's about not just starting a bunch of relationships and sending a bunch of LinkedIn requests and emails randomly, but just, again, thinking about that process from hello to yes, adding value, getting to know them, exploring lanes of opportunity, and then using those kind of third, fourth, fifth, sixth sessions as working sessions to either potentially sell something in or be collaborative or open up the doors for other opportunities. All right, so some takeaways here before we get to some Q&A. You have value in your network. You just don't know what's there yet, right? So using a tool such as Alignable to understand what's in your second degree is really important. For me, it's not about collecting more business cards, but exploring that second degree, who they know, and offering the same back and forth. That second degree is the largest asset you have because, again, 818 connections I have on Alignable can introduce me to 10,000 people. As you can tell, I think fast, talk fast, work fast, but there's no way I could possibly chase down 10,000 potential folks in my network. It's impossible, but it's a good problem to have, right? And so as I go down the list here, when I make those asks, I have context. I'm not saying, hey, Rob, I'd love to be introduced to Mary. Hey, Rob, I'd like to meet Mary. Here's why. Here's what I think the opportunity is for me. If you feel comfortable, I'd love to have that introduction when you have an opportunity. If I'm introducing somebody to somebody else, again, I'm adding that context. So when the two of those folks talk, there's a baseline to the conversation. The connective tissue is me, my intro. So they've both learned what they're there to talk about so they can get off to a better start with their relationship. And the follow-up is about just being consistent and keeping momentum, from hello to yes. I do have this thing that I call a playbook, which talks about daily networking habits, weekly networking habits. And if anybody wants it, I can kind of link it in the chat or follow up with some folks afterwards. But it's about that process. Again, treating networking like it was your largest client, your largest thing to do, because your network is literally your net worth. Again, 95% of the stuff that I chase for business for my own company is all through relationships. I chase business for a couple months, a couple years, a decade. For me, it's about the relationship, consistency in my networking, managing my process, having goals to my networking tied to revenue numbers. So it's not so random, not so aimless. It has intent and it's specific. Again, meeting two types of people, folks that are my ideal customers or my referral partners. So Herman, yes, I have an email address at the end, which will see. And so Rob has a question: is Alignable more effective for connecting with ideal referral partners or customers? It really depends, Rob. So in my case, as somebody who works with nonprofit organizations, there are thousands of nonprofits on the platform. If you are an individual that sells services to other individuals, so say like life insurance, your mortgage broker, or if you're a life coach, you have to kind of work the referral angle first because those tags on people's profile don't describe, I'm Don, I need a life coach. It doesn't work that way. Those are professions. So I think it depends on your business. I think it depends on where you're located. And I also think it depends on if you're B2B or B2C, but I think it's ripe for referral opportunities. It's like going to a bunch of chamber events that the room is stacked with the people you want to meet. So I find it both for me, prospective clients, which is great. Referral partners is fantastic. But again, we have 10 million people on the platform, 20,000 folks show up a week to join this thing, and it's been instrumental growth for both me personally as well as my business. The last thing I want to stick you all with is that, we're all in a rush, right? As you can tell, I'm kind of speeding through this whole thing. We're all in a rush, but you got to play the long game with your network. And like I said, one piece of business, that Boston University job, I chased that for 12 years because I was consistent with my follow up, networked with her, offered value because I knew at some point the trust was there that she would eventually bring the business my way, which she did. It took me a little bit longer, but I played the long game. But the goal is to play the long game on multiple, kind of parallel paths, right? Not just 2 to 3 people, but build a network with quality folks that know what you do. Your story is sticky, right? You use tools to kind of keep your process rolling, to remember who you spoke to, what you spoke about, all those little details you want to recall, getting people from hello to yes, and playing that long game. And if you're not working on your existing client customer work, my suggestion is invest in your network because it's not about how much time you spend networking, but it's rather what you do at that time to make it effective. And so I'm happy to, if anybody wants to talk more about Alignable, join a coaching session, do some one-on-ones, talk more about this stuff. I do some, group coaching for folks over time. And then here's my website address, prbunker.com, and don@prbunker.com is my email address. But if literally, and I hate to say this, if you Google me, you can find me on a variety of platforms. You can find me on LinkedIn, find me on Alignable, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. I'm just about everywhere. Somebody who's in marketing, it's kind of my job to be all over the place. So I'm happy to take any of the questions you all have.
Okay, I think there was one question that was submitted early on.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, the road
Yeah,
is littered with.
the road is littered with failed networking apps. How has Alignable ensured its future? Have you reached break even? How do you make money? We make money on subscriptions. So there's you can join the platform for free, which you can get a ton of value from, or when you join the platform as a subscriber, it's like it's between $30 or $75 a month, and you get a certain amount of credits and activity and access to the platform based on the level of subscription you buy. We make money on subscriptions, and the other way we make money is through folks that want to advertise on our platform. Advertising on our platform is really about saying, I want to meet these types of people in these markets. When these people are searching for this service, I'm the only guy that shows up in that particular search feed. And then you get basically visibility in that weekly newsletter that goes out to those individuals. You also get in-app advertising as well. So we make money through advertising. We make money through subscriptions.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions that you missed.
Okay.
So certainly, if anyone does think of something later, reach out to us and we'll connect you to Don, or you've got Don's information there on screen as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can go ahead and wrap things up. I'm just going to quickly throw up our little thank you slide in case you are looking for a mentor. There's that QR code for that. And I just want to thank Don for taking the time to talk to our clients. We will get the recording out to everyone that may have missed and registered today. But just thank you, everyone, and we hope to see you on a future presentation. Did you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to add a word of thank you to Don for an awesome session today, and I just wanted to share too that we're able to do these kinds of webinars uh, based on or because of the generous contributions we get from supporters. So if you would like to support our webinars, see there's a QR code on the screen. Feel free to link to that, and that'll link you to our donation page. And then we're a 501c3, which means your donation is tax deductible. So, Teresa, back to you.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything else to say, so I think we're all set. You guys have a great rest of your day, and again, hope to see everyone soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Bye bye.